Do you want to double your money? The power of compound interest allows you to swiftly double your investments if you receive a high rate of return. But how will you know what rate of return you'll need in the following 3, 5, or 10 years to double your money? The Rule of 72 is a formula that can help with it. The Rule of 72, what is it? It can be used by investors to determine when their investment will double. The Rule of 72 is an easy way for an investor or advisor to approximate how long it will take an investment to double based on its fixed annual rate of return. Simply divide 72 by the fixed rate of return, and you'll get a rough estimate of how long it will take for your portfolio to double in size. Though the science isn't exact, you might want to use a different formula to take into account rates of return that are outside of a specific range. Investors can use the Rule of 72 as a general guideline to determine how long it will take for an investment to double under the assumptions of a constant yearly rate of return and no more contributions. If you want to go any farther, you may calculate how long it will take to treble your investment using the Rule of 115. Investors can learn more about the value of compound interest by using any of these two general guidelines. The amount of time it takes for an investment to double or triple depends on the rate of return. How to estimate returns using the Rule of 72. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Let's imagine you want to know how long it will take for your investment balance to increase from $100,000 to $200,000 without adding any further funds. By dividing 72 by 7, you may determine that your investment will double every 10.29 years at an expected yearly return of 7%. Here's an example of how the Rule of 72 impacts various rates of return on investments. Rate of return years it takes to double: 1% 72 years, 2% 36 years, 3% 24 years, 4% 18 years, 5% 14.4 years, 6% 12 years, 7% 10.3 years, 8% 9 years, 9% 8 years, 10% 7.2 years, 11% 6.5 years, 12% 6 years. The calculation is not error-free though. The following logarithmic formula might be used if you have more time and want a more precise result. T equals ln2/ln1 plus r. The natural log function, ln, and the compound interest rate, r, are all used in this equation to represent the time it will take for an investment to double. It is possible to calculate that your money will double in 11.9 years using this formula for the $100,000 investment mentioned above with a 6% rate of return. This is close to the 12 years you would get if you simply divided 72 by 6. The logarithmic formula in this situation looks like this. T equals ln2/ln1 plus 0.6. If you don't have a scientific calculator on hand, you can usually use the one on your smartphone for advanced functions. However, the basic calculation can give you a good ballpark figure if that's all you need. How to estimate compound interest using the Rule of 72. You can rearrange variables in equations, as you can with most equations, to account for uncertain variables. If you want to calculate the annual compound interest return on an investment you've had for a while, divide the number of years it took for your investment to double by 72. Divide 72 by 8 to obtain a 9% annual rate of return, like in the scenario where you started with $100,000 and the balance was $200,000 after 8 years. Unrealistically, it's simple to compute. The Rule of 72 isn't always the best course of action. It requires a fixed rate of return, and while investors can use other benchmarks or the typical stock market return as a starting point, past success is no guarantee of future outcomes. Therefore, it's crucial to conduct research on predicted rates of return and to use conservative predictions. Additionally, return rates between 6% and 10% perform best with the simpler method. With rates outside of that range, the Rule of 72 is less reliable. For instance, using a 9% rate of return, the straightforward calculation yields an 8-year time to double. Using the logarithmic formula, the result is 8.04 years, which is a very little difference. The rule of 72 calculation gives you a time to double of 36 years if your rate of return is 2%. However, if you compute the numbers using the logarithmic approach, you arrive at 35 years, which is a year's difference. Therefore, utilize the fundamental formula to quickly estimate the time it will take for your investment to double. To make sure that your assumptions are as accurate as possible, use the logarithmic equation if you're calculating the amount as part of your retirement or education savings plan. Over a long period of time, the rule of 72 performs best. It might not be as helpful if you're close to retiring, because short-term volatility can give your annual return rate less time to equalize. Rule of 72 versus Rule of 70. If your anticipated rate of return is between 6% and 10%, the Rule of 72 offers projections that are reasonably reliable. However, if you're searching for cheaper rates, you can think about switching to the Rule of 70. Consider the 2% return from the preceding case. The time required to double an investment using the straightforward Rule of 70 calculation is 35 years, which is also the answer to the logarithmic equation. The logarithmic function roughly returns 7.3 years, which has a larger discrepancy compared to the simple formula's 7 years when applied to a 10% return. The rules of 72 and 70 aren't perfect, just like any rule of thumb. However, they might provide you with useful information to aid in your long-term savings strategy. Consider engaging with a financial advisor who can assist you in adjusting an investing strategy to your circumstances as you go through this process. People usually ask, who or what uses the Rule of 72? You can quickly calculate the future growth of an investment using the Rule of 72. If you are aware of the typical rate of return, you may use a straightforward calculation to estimate the time it will take for your investment to double, providing no further funds are invested. The Rule of 72 was created by who? The Rule of 72 is mentioned for the first time in Luca Pacioli's Summa de Arithmetica, dated 1494. Pacioli earned the moniker Father of Accounting as a result of this work, which continued to be used as an accounting textbook until the mid-1600s. When does money double every 7 years? The annual rate of predicted return is all you need to know in order to apply the Rule of 72 to determine when your money will double. If this is 10%, you would divide 72 by the projected rate of return, which is 10%, to arrive at 7.2 years. By multiplying 72 by the anticipated annual rate of return, you may use the same approach to determine the return on other assets.